The fire alarm didn't just scream, it laughed in my face, mocking me as I sprinted through flames to save a family trapped in their own home. By the time I dragged the last kid out, my uniform was more ash than fabric, but it held together, just like me. My name's Riley Carter, a third-generation firefighter in the small town of Emberfield, where everyone knows your business and half of them want to control it. This uniform, scorched, patched, and heavy with history, wasn't just gear. It was my badge of honor. But in Emberfield, honor doesn't mean much when Karen Mitchell decides you've crossed a line. It started at a town hall meeting, one of those endless evenings where people argue over stop signs and potluck budgets. I'd just come off a 48-hour shift, still smelling of smoke, when Karen stood up, her perfectly pressed blouse practically glowing under the fluorescent lights. She waved a petition like it was a battle flag. "This firefighter's uniform," she declared, pointing at me like I'd robbed a bank, "is a public menace. It's dirty, unsafe, and a walking violation of community standards." The room went silent, then erupted in murmurs. I laughed, thinking it was a joke. Karen didn't laugh back. Her case was absurd but meticulously planned. She'd spent weeks gathering signatures, claiming my uniform standard issue, fire-resistant gear, posed a health risk because of soot and chemical residue. She had photos, blurry ones, of me walking into the grocery store after a call, my jacket streaked with ash. "Think of the children," she cried, clutching her pearls. The crowd shifted uncomfortably. Emberfield wasn't big. 3,000 people, one fire station, and a whole lot of gossip. Karen was the queen of that gossip, a real estate agent with a knack for turning molehills into mountains. She'd once gotten a neighbor's dog banned from the park for excessive barking. Now she was coming for me. I stood up, my boots squeaking on the linoleum floor. "Karen, this uniform saved lives. It's designed to take a beating so I can do my job. You want me to wear a suit and tie to a burning building?" A few people chuckled, but her glare shut them up. She wasn't alone. Councilman Harold Vance, our self-appointed moral compass, backed her up. "Riley, we respect your service, but rules are rules. If the uniform's a hazard, we need to address it." His voice dripped with fake sympathy, like he was scolding a kid for stealing cookies. I felt my blood boil. This wasn't about safety, it was about control. The next week, the town council proposed a ban on contaminated work attire in public spaces. It sounded neutral, but it was aimed at me. Firefighters don't have time to change before grabbing milk or coffee after a call. We're not robots, we're human, running on adrenaline and bad sleep. But Karen spun it like I was spreading plague-level toxins. She even got a chemist to testify, some guy from out of town who threw around words like carcinogens and biohazards. Never mind that my gear was tested and cleaned per regulation. Facts didn't matter when Karen's crusade was in full swing. The tension escalated at the next meeting. I walked in, still in my uniform, because screw ITI wasn't hiding who I was. The room was packed, standing room only, with half the town there to see the showdown. Karen had a PowerPoint now, complete with dramatic music and zoomed-in shots of my jacket's frayed cuffs. "This is about our community's image," she shouted. "We can't have heroes looking like hobos." That stung. My dad wore the same uniform, and his dad before him. It wasn't just fabric. It was legacy. I stood, fists clenched, and said, "You want a clean uniform? Come scrub the ashes off a burning roof at 3 a.m. The crowd gasped. Karen's face turned red, but she didn't back down. Councilman Vance, sensing the drama, proposed a compromise. Firefighters could wear civilian attire in public after calls. It sounded reasonable, but it was a trap. Our station had one truck, 3 full-time fighters, and a budget thinner than a paper towel. We didn't have time to play dress-up. I tried explaining this, but Vance cut me off. "Rules are for everyone, Riley. No exceptions." The vote was set for the following week. If it passed, I'd be fined or worse, suspended for wearing my gear outside the station. My livelihood, my identity was on the line. The night before the vote, I couldn't sleep. I sat in my kitchen, staring at my uniform hanging on the chair. It was battered but proud, like a soldier after battle. I thought about my last Cala warehouse fire that nearly took my partner, Sam, when a beam collapsed. My uniform's Kevlar lining saved me from a falling ember that would have burned through regular clothes. Karen didn't get that. She saw dirt. I saw survival. I decided to fight, not just for me, but for every firefighter who'd ever been told their sacrifice wasn't presentable enough. The final meeting was chaos. Karen had rallied her troops' moms, retirees, even a few of my high school classmates who didn't know a fire hose from a garden hose. They held signs, "Clean town, clean uniforms." I brought my own backup. Sam, my partner, and a dozen volunteers from neighboring stations. We didn't have signs, but we had stories. I told the crowd about the kid I carried out of a burning apartment, how my uniform took the heat so she could breathe. Sam talked about the chemical spill we contained, our gear the only thing keeping us from third-degree burns. The room started to sway. Then Karen played her trump card. She dug up an old incident report from 5 years ago, when I'd been disciplined for losing my temper at a heckler during a call. It was unrelated, a low blow, but she spun it like I was unhinged, unfit to represent Emberfield. "Do we want this man in our streets?" she asked, voice shaking with fake tears. The crowd wavered again. I felt Sam's hand on my shoulder, steadying me. I wanted to scream, but I took a breath and said, "Judge me by my actions, not her slideshow." A few nods, a few claps. Hope flickered. The vote came down to one council member, Ellen Harper, a quiet librarian who'd never picked a side. She'd listened to every word, her face unreadable. When she stood, the room held its breath. "I've seen Riley run into danger when others run out," she said. "His uniform isn't the problem, it's the pride of this town." Karen's jaw dropped. The vote failed, 4-3. The crowd erupted, half in cheers, half in boos. I exhaled, but the victory felt hollow. Karen wasn't done. She never would be. Weeks later, I got a call to a house fire on Maple Street. It was Karen's house. Irony's a cruel bastard. I didn't hesitate, uniform on, I ran in. The flames were vicious, but I found her in the kitchen, coughing, trapped by a fallen cabinet. I hauled it off, carried her out, my uniform singed again. Outside, she looked at me, eyes wide, and whispered, "Thank you." I nodded, too tired to gloat. The next day, she dropped her petition. No apology, no fanfare, just silence. But the town didn't forget. They saw the uniform, the soot, the man who didn't back down. Emberfield's still divided. Some call me a hero. Others still whisper about standards. My uniform's still here, dirt and all, ready for the next call. It's not just gear, it's who I am. But the fight left scars. Karen's crusade exposed a truth. People love heroes until they're inconvenient. I saved her, but I lost something too, faith in the town I swore to protect. What would you do when your work, your identity is called a threat? Is it justice to judge a person by their appearance? Or should we weigh their actions instead? Share your thoughts. Emberfield's still listening.